You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook, we are YBM Chat Podcast. Instagram at YBM Chat. You can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts at YBM Chat. Hey, it's Dashia D.
Hey, it's Cassondra.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Tre'Dub.
And it's your girl, LadiiNova.
And we are
YBM Chat.
Young Black Millennials, offering you a fresh new take you didn't know you needed.
Boy, yeah.
All right, so y'all should seriously know by now what Boy is. And we're going to just hop straight into it. And I'm going to just let Tre'Dub do it because you sound kind of disturbed a little bit by her action, but he'll explain.
So, literally, what we're going to talk about today is the whole Lizzo party time dance that she had at, I believe it was the Houston Rockets that was playing this week, or last week, however recent it was. But anyway, so if you guys don't know, she was caught on camera on the Jumbotron dancing with her buttocks out. So it was like a big t-shirt on with her cheeks cut out, and she literally turns around and just start dancing. Now, I personally didn't see an issue with it. The only thing I was concerned about was the sanitation of those seats. Like, your bare booty is out. Is out, and like, you have to sit on those seats. So it's like alcohol, germs, saliva. I'm sure children have thrown up in those seats, or adults. But yeah, I'm sure you guys have way more concerns than me. So yeah, take it over, Miss Cassondra.
Okay. I just felt like it was very inappropriate for that setting. I feel like she's a very beautiful woman. She's plus size, she's beautiful. But I feel like that's not the time and place for that. Like, I feel like if that's what she wanted to do, that would have been acceptable at an after party or a club she was promoting or something. But to have it at a Lakers game, like, that's not okay. If I wanted to bring my 5 or 6-year-old son there to watch this game, I wouldn't expect to have cheeks shown on a Jumbotron. And people argue with, oh, well, they have cheerleaders and they have dress, but their butt isn't out. The most you will see is their stomach. They have their tops covered. They have these mini skirts. And then they even have short pants under the mini skirt. So it's not like you're seeing somebody with their butt out with a thong. I feel like that was highly inappropriate. And so people always try to throw the weight thing in, oh, because she's big. I always say, even if it's a size 0 person, it doesn't matter who it is, that's not acceptable for a basketball game. I mean, I understand she was excited. Her song was on. That's something to be proud of, but not in that way. She shouldn't have worn the outfit at all, but it's a time and a place to wear stuff like that. And that was not it.
Yeah. And I understand that part of it too. It was like, but you know, like, and I think me and you had a conversation like this earlier about, like, you know, younger people or like children these days, they see so much stuff on TV. So it's kind of like they already have kind of somewhat been somewhat aware of it and accustomed to society kind of letting that happen, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, I mean, you know, it's people are accepting, you know, full figure women that are that open these days. Well, partially because this situation wouldn't have been a thing if it was. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I think that it was just funny as hell. But like I said, my concern was just that, like, is she going to have like warts on her butt after this? Like, you know, like,
not warts.
Right, like she about to have, like, you know, all kind of past bumps on her butt after seeing somebody throw up and all kind of crap. You don't only imagine what them children be doing in them seats. But
what do you think they should do?
Right, yeah, what y'all think?
I feel like I've kind of gone back and forth about it. I think there was a part of me that wondered, like, okay, if she was a smaller woman, would people make as much of a fuss about it? Because people said, well, Cher and someone else showed up to a similar event dressed the same way, and you didn't hear anything about it. But then as I sit and I think more about it, personally, you know, I think that's great that she's comfortable in her skin. She loves her body. But I do think, like Cassondra said, it's a time and a place, you know? If she's at her performance, if she's at a club, strip club, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, go for it. But in something that's like a family event, probably not. But my thing is, they saw how she was dressed when she was walking through the tunnel. So if they felt like it was inappropriate, they shouldn't have played her song
Right.
to amp her
Yeah,
up more so that she
You
can
know,
then
you gotta go
twerk.
through
So
security.
not only
You go through
is her
stuff
butt out,
still.
but now she's twerking. You know what I mean? If they didn't want her to be seen like that, then they shouldn't have done it the way they did. If anything, they should have waited until she sat down and then say, okay, we got Lizzo in the house, and that be it. You know?
Wow.
And my thing was, a lot of people wanted to bring Rihanna into the situation, be like, oh, Rihanna was out dressed naked with like diamonds on. I'm like, but she was at an award show. And that's mega. But the most you can really say is Rihanna is not going to wear a bra. But she's not out here just wearing a sheer shirt and no bra. Like, she's wearing a sweater. And that's it. I mean, but at the end of the day, like Tre'Dub said, that was my first initial thought. Like, do you not fear for your body? Because there's so much stuff that takes place in these seats. People stand in it, people get mad and they spit, and it's just too much. And then your area is open because it looked like she had a thong on. And it's a lot that happens with
Right.
females in that region. So that's my concern. That's not okay.
Yeah.
That's got to stay closed up.
And I'm glad you brought up the whole Rihanna thing, because it's like, and that was another reason why I didn't have a problem with this, because, like, you know, I mean, y'all know I love Rihanna to death. And it's like, you know, her work video, well, one of them, she like literally had her, you know, her breast out. You could easily see, you know, that area. So it's kind of like, you know, people are more accepting of that part of media in the world now. So it's kind of like, but I do understand. At the other hand, you do have children that are like probably sitting next to her, watching her shake her booty, like bare booty. But yeah, to wrap it all up, you know, like, Lizzo, do your thing. And honestly, I will bring this up that Houston Rockets actually mentioned her on Twitter, saying that they support her and they welcome her to any of their games to, you know, do whatever she wants and, you know, enjoy the dance or whatever. But, you know, nevertheless, no stress. So that wraps up.
Honestly, before we close it out, I just thought about something. It's not a boy, but I do want to give a shout out to Megan Thee Stallion. I saw a picture of her on IG getting ready for an event, and as she was getting ready, her friend was reading off her exam questions to her so she could still go through school. So I have to shout her out for that, because my little ass just go to work and come home, and I don't even want to open this laptop, and she's out there performing in front of people and still doing like this whole school thing and making sure like it's a balance. So I got to give her that.
Applause to Megan Thee Stallion. So that wraps up Boy Yeet as we move into our topic.
So continuing on with like the whole parenting and kids thing, today's topic is going to be about parenting. So I want to know, if you guys plan to have kids, how do you plan to raise them? Would it be like new school parenting, old school, or a mixture of both? And I'm going to start with the woman who wants them the most, Miss Cassondra.
Okay. So, I'll just say this quick story at my job. So we use this thing called conscious discipline. And I do want kids. I want 3. So the way they see it is they get parenting from different aspects. So it's not just discipline. It's like talking and reasoning and asking why. So when I first started the job, I was like, I'm not doing that. Like my mom's saying, well, guess what? I'm spanking my child. But then like learn to, I guess you understand more like when you actually talk to the child, because I always grew up like I'm reasoning with 2-year-old. Like I don't care about why they're mad. I don't know. But then it comes to a point where you mix old with new school. So you do all you can to talk to the child. And then if that doesn't happen, then you resort back to the old fashioned way. But I mean, I would like to talk to my kids and try, like I would try talking to them, time out, taking stuff away. But if that's not the case, then yeah, go get my belt.
Not the bell. The extension cord. Tre'Dub.
Still got
Um,
scars.
listen, hey, I'm with you there. But I kind of agree with Cassandra. Well, to a point. I kind of agree with her. So I'm definitely open with letting. Well, definitely, I do want children. Like I want to, but I can deal with 3 at the most. And like I said, so I am good with like having conversations with my child. You know, definitely at a young age, like children are really way more smarter than we think they are. So it's kind of like, you know, they really understand through what through interactions. So it's kind of like, you know, they kind of see what they see through like adults and stuff like that. So, you know, basically the point I'm trying to make is that, you know, if there happens to be like a certain situation where they do something that's kind of like messed up, you just simply let them know that, hey, this is right, this is wrong. And then if they continue those acts, and then that's when the behind cutting comes. Like, because I mean, like, you know, they only learn, well, definitely learn, you know, through, well, you lead by example. And in the end, you know, at the end of the day, like you want your child to understand what is it that needs to be done or how it needs to be done, because that's a foundation that you're setting for your child. So at the end of the day, they have to learn right and wrong. And, you know, like Cassandra said, it then results to possible, maybe like painful consequences. So yeah, that's me.
All right, Dashia D.
You said will it be old fashioned or new school?
Or a mixture of both.
I guess a mixture of both. One thing that I never really understood with parents, not just my own, just parents in general. I don't like when parents say do it because I said so.
I don't like that either.
Yeah, and I mean, I
agree.
get it. Some situations you're just irritated with the kid and you're like, I don't need to debate you right now. I just need you to really do this. And it's easier said than done because I'm not a parent yet. But I feel like I'm gonna try my best to be more of an authoritative parent, where like I set certain standards and guidelines, but I'm explaining it to my child like, this is why I need you to do this, or this is why you're getting in trouble for this. I'm going to try to refrain from spanking. Don't know how long that's going to last.
Right.
Because I think it's harder to not. I think it's easy when you're frustrated to then just spank the kid instead of sitting them to the side saying like, I am very frustrated with you because you did this, and like having an actual conversation with them, because sometimes kids get spanked and they don't even know what they did wrong.
No. And then they
They
go
just-
do it again, and then you spank them again. It's just a cycle. So it's like,
Right.
what am I doing wrong? You're not telling me anything.
Right. And then some kids get so used to getting spanked that they would prefer that. Like if you say no, I'm gonna take this. They're like, man, just spank me, just whip me, so I can go on about my business. So I don't know. I think I just want to be the kind of parent where if something happens, we have an actual conversation about it.
I mean, because even adults like to know why. Like if something happens, you understand fully more. Like.
Go ahead.
So for me, I guess it's going to be a mixture of both, because I see why our parents did what they did. Of course, a lot of parents are going to do what their parents taught them. And of course, that doesn't always work. So that's why I'm going to also have the new school. I talk to my parents now, but I wish certain conversations I had before it was too late. So even like the simple stuff like credit card bills and what that's like, I wish I knew those things before, because you have some parents who would think, oh, when you get to school, they teach you that. We didn't learn that until we got to college, and by then it's too late because most of us already have like apartments and stuff. So it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
I don't see myself taking like ass cuttings out, because I thought that did me some good. Everybody's like, oh, that's a mental thing, and it couldn't be for some kids, but for me, it was like a trigger thing. If you go and cut school, your ass is gonna get whooped. I'm like, do I want that after I had a bomb ass day? Nah, I'm good on that. I don't need that. But I'm also gonna be like my dad, and my dad played the mind game. You fail a class, or if my mama asked us to do something and it took us too long to move, my mama call him and he'll come in the house acting like nothing ever happened. But oh, when an event came and we thought we was going, he got us so good one year, woke us all up, told us to get dressed. We going to the fair. I'm wiping the crust out of my eyes. I'm looking at the Ferris wheel colors. I'm like, yes, I know what I'm about to ride. We got to that gate and my daddy gave them tickets up. I said, oh my God, I didn't even do nothing wrong. It was my brother. My brother did it. So because of him, like we ended up going because that's when the fair used to be around for like almost 2 weeks. So we ended up going like later on, but because they got free tickets through their job. But I was like, I gotta get in trouble because he didn't take the trash out.
Yeah.
Why we couldn't just left him at home or lock his little ass in the car? Like I would have been fine with that.
That's all of nothing things.
Like, and I was already in my bed clothes, woke up, got dressed and ready just for him to be like, nah, it ain't happening. And I'm like, that's fine. But what are some things that you want to teach your kids that you feel like either you should have been taught or you are watching through society now that you feel like they have to know? And I'll go with Tre'Dub on this one. I'll start with him first.
Okay. So one thing I would definitely tell my child that I was kind of barely taught was to definitely be more open-minded. I feel like I just was kind of like set to a certain standard growing up, and that's kind of like just like one frame of mind of thinking, as opposed to being open to different cultures or different things while growing up. I wish that I definitely want to put that on, for my future children and things like that. And I want to mention this one thing, like my little nephew, Logan, shout out to him. He's only 4 years old. And that's like really one of the smartest, like children that I've known, like just ever, because, he's like my first nephew. And like, when I say like, he can speak so like profoundly, I'm like, this is amazing, Nia. You're only 4 years old, like carry a whole conversation. And I mean, like that to me, just right there, just shows that society, and I guess this generation of parenting is definitely doing something great, because I'm like, this man can like have a whole conversation and know exactly what you're talking about and can repeat everything you're saying and know what it means, But to bring it all in, like I said, I just want to for my future children, just to kind of like be more open-minded and to be more accepting about things that are like different from how you were raised. So yeah, that's me.
Okay, Cassondra.
I'll actually let Dashia go first. I'm still thinking about this one. I feel like I have a long answer, but
Dashia, you ready?
Okay, I guess so. So one of the things that I want to teach my kids, I guess, just independence. Not that I don't feel like I wasn't independent, but I do, and I know my mama listens. But I feel like my mama, I would describe as a helicopter parent. And not in a bad way. Like, she was very much on top of things. She had to know every single thing that was going on, and I felt like I didn't have room to make mistakes, which I feel like has manifested into my perfectionism. And so I get really, I'm my toughest critic. Anytime I mess up or make a mistake, like I just am. And I just want my kids to know, like, you can make mistakes. It's okay. You don't have to be perfect. Another thing I would like to do is teach them about themselves, their history. I want to empower them so that when they get into settings with people who don't look like them, they don't have some sort of inferiority complex. Like, they know who they are and they can stand in their truth. And then lastly, if I have a son, specifically if I have a son, I want to teach him that it's okay to express his emotions. I want him to be an emotionally available man. I don't want him to grow up thinking like if he cries, then that's a sign of weakness, because that's just silly.
Yeah.
And I want my kids to be aware of their mental wealth. So, yeah.
I like that.
And that's how this topic came up, because article I read, she's a student from Spelman. She wrote a paper on mental health. She started out talking about Summer Walker and how a lot of these people are like bashing her because she's saying she has mental health issues. And she talked about herself, about how she was clingy as a child. People thought that was just, kids being kids. They don't want to go into daycare and all of the other stuff. And as she got older, she realized it was something else. So she went to go get help. and she thanked her parents because her parents could have kind of like pushed her off. They could have said anything like, you know, pick other family members went through worse. I don't know why you got a problem. Anything. They could have said anything, but they acknowledged like we really didn't know it was a thing. Now we're working with her and we're by her side. We're supportive just to get her through it. So that's how this topic really came up. So, Cassandra,
Go ahead.
do you have your answer or?
I do. I think I would let my kids know to be their own person. I think that's something I struggle with up until college. Like I always felt like somebody always had to make a decision for me. You know, like I always had to rely on other people, older people, because I was so afraid to be wrong that I would look for any and everybody who advice I think would be good, you know? Like, and it's okay to go to people and ask for help or ask for advice, but at the end of the day, I guess your life, you know, like when I told people that like I switched my major 5 times and people said that's ridiculous or you need to do this to do that. And I listened to everybody else because I thought that's what was right. And I was never living for myself. It was always, I'll do this because she said it was like, she said I should, or I'll do this because she said I had to, not because I wanted to, or because I wanted to live my own life. You know, I guess confidence is the biggest thing I would teach my kid. Not even just like looks wise, but like be confident in any job you do, any workplace you go in. And like Dashia said, like just know if you go to a place that people don't look like you, just know you're still educated, you're still smart too. Just because you look different doesn't make you any less smarter or competent than anybody that's there.
And I'll say for mine, I have 2. If I were to have more than 2 kids, I would want them to know that, like Cassandra said, they are their own individuals. It's not a shun to my family or anything, but we're so close knit, even though we're like, well, I'm the youngest, so I'm like 5 and 7 years apart from the other 2. But my mindset has never been like anybody else or what people expect my mindset to be for anybody my age. It's always been the mindset of an older person. So at times I think like my family forgets that and it's like, well, you should be doing this. And I'm like, I should not. Like, to me, I feel like I should still be like messing up at times. Like I'm still trying to figure it out. What I am doing now, I'm surprising myself that I'm keeping it going because a lot of people I've come across, they can't do these things. So I want my kids to know like, you're not him, she's not you. You're going to learn different things. You might learn it watching through them. And if you don't, that's on you. I don't know what else to tell you. Things happen. The other thing would be, it may sound weird to some and it may make sense to others. I'm going to teach my kids how to accept failure more than I teach them how to accept success.
No, it sounds really good. I like that.
Because I feel like especially in today's time, you have so many people like we're going to be raising our kids we are raising our kids in social media and all this other stuff. Like everything is out there. So you have so many of them who want to do the fast life, the YouTube life, this and the third. And it's like, oh, well, this person did X, Y, and Z. So this is all I got to do. And it's going to work. Okay, that may have worked for them, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And you have the kids that they put themselves out there and it don't work. They automatically think their whole lives is over. They're giving up and they take the turn for the worse because they've had parents that praise them so much or give them so much. They don't know what it's like to like think, okay, what if I don't make this? And that's something my parents taught me, but it didn't say like they taught me to fail. My parents always taught me have a plan B because I was so stuck on, oh, I'm going to be a writer and that's just going to be that. And my daddy was like, okay, so what you going to do in between? I was like, I don't need to do nothing in between. And now I'm older and I'm like, you know what? I could have been out here starving because I didn't want to do nothing in between. And I haven't written anything in like 6 months. But it is what it is. Even with regular jobs, you go out, you apply for a job, kids get the first no. I don't know what I'm going to do. Nobody wants to hire me, especially when you come straight out of college. You think you'll get your first job. Like, honey, prepare for a lot of no's. And if you don't get a bunch of no's and you actually do get a yes, that's great. But you're still going to have like many of doors slammed in your face before you get to the level where you need to be at. And if I don't teach them that now, well, at a young age, there's no telling what the world is going to put in front of them. And they might get that one no, and God forbid, it's like drugs, any other type of abuse, or like killing themselves because they don't know what to do with receiving a no. So that's my thing.
Yeah.
I really like that a lot. Yeah.
With the teaching them how to fail.
Yeah, and the reason why I like that is because, like, I mean, especially like the age that we're at right now and what's all kind of going through our lives, this is like the most times where you will hear those no's. And it's kind of like, you know, we set ourselves apart by actually, you know, taking the effort to go get whatever it is that we are setting these goals for. So it just feels so much better when you get that one yes that can set your life for the next few years or whatever. So that's why I really like what you said about that.
Yeah, I really had to think about that one because I was like, I don't know, what do I want to teach my kids? I mean, I'm not gonna say everything else is basic because it's like we're going backwards now, but 10 times worse with all the killing of minorities and missing and all that stuff. But I don't want to do too much and they feel like I'm way overprotective and have them in a bubble. So I just have to measure it out the right way. Dashia D, was there something that you wanted to add to it before?
It's taking us like backwards, but I can.
I'm sorry. I just thought about it.
I thought about when you brought up Summer Walker and her mental health things that she was going through. And I think about like spanking and like when kids start crying and you hear your parents say, "What you crying for? I'll give you something to cry about." I just think of that image and it's just like, so you're going to spank the kid for showing emotions. If somebody bent you over and whipped you, I don't think you would be smiling and kikiing. So I don't know. It's just something that I think about as far as like, we need to allow children to feel their feelings, especially little boys, because I feel like people are like, well, you don't want them to be soft and da 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 da. But then they grow up and they feel like it's not okay to feel whatever it is that they're feeling, and then they start looking into other things, whether it be drugs or they might fall into a depression or whatever the case may be. And then you have women who are dating these men and they're like, well, you don't open up to me and you don't do this. Well, no, he doesn't open up to you because no one allowed him to. They dismissed him when he was 6 and 7 years old.
I wouldn't say it's dismissive, but I'm the complete opposite. So I have 1-year-olds right now. And if they fall, and I do this to the little boys and the little girls, they fall and scrape their knee and they look around to see if anybody looking. Then when we lock eyes, you start crying. Oh no, man up. You're fine. You know, and I know some people hate that term, like man up. What does that mean? Or you're not allowed to cry or feel your emotions. But I think for me, it's the dramatics of it, you know, like, and it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be sad and feel your emotions. But I feel like, okay, if your parents say, stop crying, I'll give you something to cry for. They didn't do anything. You're just being emotional. And then so it's like, okay, well, when I spank you, then it's something to cry for. At least that's what I took from it. That's what my mom always told us. I mean, my brother used to be soft. His feelings used to be soft as tissue paper. You yell at him and then he go crying. His feelings hurt, but it's like, man, come on, man up. I'm sorry. I see what you're saying, Dashia. I really do, but I kind of disagree. I don't want no.
I mean, that's fine, but my thing is this: we continue to tell little boys, especially little boys of color, man up, suck it up. You a boy, stop being soft. And then they get older and they don't show any expression, and then their girlfriend, their wife or boyfriend, whoever, they end up with them, and they're like, you're not emotionally available or aware, and then they're cold, and then they become fathers. And then they can't even be emotionally available to their children. But then, man up, suck it up. Let's just keep the cycle going. It's just so irritating to me.
Yeah, I agree with Dashia on this one. And this is why I said I would definitely teach my child to be more open-minded. And not even just like a boy, but also women. Like, you don't have to feel like you have to like basically obey your man. Like, you have your own independence to do what is it that you need to do. You don't have to rely on the man to make you happy. You don't have to rely on the man to like provide you with like all of this. Like, you know, like how I used to be like, you know, back in the day or whatever. And I definitely like, you know, I agree with Dashia again, like, you know, specifically like with younger boys. Like these days, well, honestly, and that's why I was like saying as growing up, I was always set to a certain standard that, you know, I'm supposed to do what I'm supposed to do, man up, don't like, you know, don't cry about it, just, you know, dust that dirt off, you know, stuff like that. And it's kind of like, well, dang, like, you know, how is it that I could feel accepted to be sad, you know, to like, you know, stuff like that. So you're coming from a boy's perspective, I do agree with Dashia on that, because I was raised like that.
And I see it both ways, because I can, especially when Cassondra was like, you know, kids fall, they're dramatic. I've seen that with both boys and girls. Like, I watched my little cousin like fall off the couch, you know, doing stupid shit, and we already been like, hey, cut that out. You can break your neck. You don't listen, you fall. They get up fast and like brush off, and then you just look at them and they look like they want to cry. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't want to hear none of that, because I told you not to. In those aspects, I'm like, yeah, I don't feel bad for you, because you were warned not once but twice.
Right.
And now here we are. Other things, yes, I'm going to allow my kids to be like emotional. I don't know why people have that perception of men not crying. Like, I don't know where it started, why it's such a bad thing, why it's a crime, because I don't care. Like, me personally, I don't care if it's a male or female. I just can't take people crying, because it depends on who you are to me. I can be emotional. So if I see like close friends, family members, somebody crying, that shit hits me hard, and I'm like, I don't know what to do now, because I'm just weird as a person. I don't know what to do with emotions, because I like to hide mine, because that's my own choice. So like, you're crying, I'm like, okay, so now I either gotta hug you, pat you. I don't know what to do with you, but something's gotta happen. It's just, I just feel like, summing it all up, we all are going to raise our kids with both ourselves and how we came up, as well as with some of our parents' ways to parenting, so that our kids don't fall too far into society's rules and what they think should be happening. Because I think that's what's happening to a lot of these kids out here. Like, their parents want to so badly treat them how they felt they should have been treated as kids, and not even just with positive things, but just with everything. I wanted to go out, I wanted my hair to be this color. So now their kids is doing all of this stuff, and now you're trying to figure out why you don't have no control over your kids, and why you got 4 and 5-year-olds on Facebook thinking it's cute to be like, I tell him fuck him because I ain't his little friend or whatever, and that bitch thought she was gonna hit me on that slide. And I'm like, wait a minute, the slide? What? Am I watching children or grown ass people? My kids ain't doing that. That's gonna be the quickest way for you to get a shoe thrown to your mouth if you think you're gonna be talking about fuck this and that at 5. Got me fucked up.
Yeah, no.
So, just a quick question for you guys: do you curse in front of your parents, or how do you feel out when people do curse around their parents?
Negative.
I personally feel uncomfortable.
I couldn't dare.
Like,
I'm
when I see
let me say
grown
hell.
people curse in front of their parents, it makes me like, oh, okay, y'all that cool,
like,
all right.
I get away with saying
when the kid cursed in front of the parents.
Mm-hmm.
Not even kid, like
I'm saying adults.
Yeah, adults.
I did. Yes. Okay. Well, you said adults curse in front of their children.
Adults curse in front of their parents.
I don't curse in front of children either, but parents too.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely am. I super get like nervous, like when the children's like cursing around their parents. But I also kind of get nervous when adults are like saying specific curse words that they definitely should not know around their children. I mean, granted, like, you know, you probably having a conversation with your child in a room, and you like, they might slip out, but don't make it like a consistent thing, you know, because like I said before, kids actually absorb stuff quicker than you think. So.
But what's crazy though? So my mom cursed around me all the time. but you always knew what words not to say. I'm serious. Like, nobody ever said, at least my mama did, like, you're not supposed to say this, that, and the third, but you already knew not to say those words. Those words were bad words. You know what I mean? And so me, I curse around children and old people. I'm so uncomfortable when I see some grandma walk past and somebody's cursing, and I'll even stop cursing around an old lady. You know what I mean? Or stop cursing baby, you know?
It's just a different
You know
time.
what I'm
But it's a different time, but let's go ahead and ask our listeners what they think, because everybody has their own difference of opinion of how they want to raise their kids and how they were raised, and of course the whole cursing thing. So tell us in the comments on all of our social media platforms how you plan to raise your kids. Do you accept cursing? When are you going to teach them about sex? Because clearly you got to start at like 10 now. But
I had to
it
talk at
is what
8.
it is. What? My God.
Not 10.
Join us every Monday.
Comment.
Like, subscribe,
and gas outside.
All right. Peace out, y'all.